I done? What? What have I done to myself?
There is a kind of cruelty and wickedness that hides behind closed doors. A kind that smiles in public but destroys in private. It doesn't always begin with shouting. It doesn't always begin with anger. Sometimes it begins quietly, with disappointment, with comparison, with silent questions that have no answers. Questions like, why not me? Why me? And when those questions stay too long in the heart, they begin to change a person. Slowly, quietly, and almost invisibly. Until one day, that person no longer recognizes themselves. This is the story of a woman who waited 8 years for a child. 8 long years. That felt like a lifetime. She finally got one. And then, she destroyed her. Not because the child did anything wrong, but because she wasn't hers. And the painful truth is this. The child she was hurting was the very thing holding her life together. Anna was known as a beautiful woman. Not just beautiful in face, but in presentation. She carried herself with quiet dignity and pride. She spoke gently in public. She dressed well, not extravagantly, but neatly. Her home reflected her personality. Clean floors, well-arranged furniture, curtains that were always properly set, everything in its place. Everything except for a child. From the outside, her life looked very peaceful. But peace can sometimes be deceptive, because sometimes what looks like peace is actually emptiness. Stories like this happen more often than we think. So subscribe if you don't want to miss more like this. For 8 years, Anna lived with that emptiness. She attended weddings. She attended naming ceremonies. She danced and smiled when others celebrated. But each celebration reminded her of what she did not have. She watched younger women who got married after her, carry babies on their backs, breastfeed in public, complain about sleepless nights, and every time she smiled. But inside, something tightened. The gossip and whispers didn't help. They've been married for long. Is everything okay? Maybe they should check again. People rarely say things directly. They hide it in concern. They wrap it in soft voices. But the meaning is always clear. At church, she prayed harder than most. She would kneel longer, close her eyes tighter, whisper words with urgency. God, please, just 2 words. But those 2 words carried years of pain. At night, when everything was quiet, that was when the truth came out. She would lie on the bed, staring into darkness. Sometimes she turned to her side, hoping sleep would come. Sometimes she covered her face so no one would hear her cry. And sometimes she said nothing at all. Because after a while, even prayers begin to feel repetitive. Her husband, Eric, tried to fill the gap. He was a good man, patient, loving, and understanding. He bought her gifts, took her out when he could, spoke kindly to her. But there are some things no human effort can replace. And deep down, even he felt it. The silence in that house was not just hers. It belonged to both of them. There were moments when they would sit together, the television on, but neither of them watching, just sitting. Because sometimes, silence is louder than words. Until one evening, something shifted. As the fan above them turned slowly, Anna sat at the edge of the bed, her hands resting on her lap. She didn't look at him when she spoke. "Let's adopt," she said. The words came out quietly, not with excitement, not with hope, but with something deeper: exhaustion. Eric looked at her, really looked at her, and for the first time, he saw how tired she truly was. "Are you sure?" he asked. She nodded, because after 8 years, waiting had become too heavy to carry. And that was how Blessing came into their lives. She arrived with almost nothing. A small nylon bag with a few clothes in it. And eyes that had seen more than a child should see. She didn't run into the house. She didn't smile immediately. She stood at the entrance, looking, taking everything in. The walls, the floor, the people, as if she was asking herself, will this place be different? Children like Blessing don't trust quickly. They don't assume safety. They observe it. That first meal, she ate it slowly, carefully, like someone who wasn't used to having enough. She didn't ask for more, even when she was still hungry. That first night, she lay on the bed, eyes open, listening to footsteps, to doors, to silence, because peace was something she had learned not to believe immediately. But days passed, and nothing bad happened. No shouting, no hitting, no hunger. Slowly, she began to relax. Anna took very good care of her. She bathed her, combed her hair gently, bought her new clothes. Blessing began to smile. At first, small smiles, then real ones. She started laughing, started playing, started feeling like she belonged. And then, something began to change. Not in a bad way, in a good way. Eric got a promotion at work, unexpected. Money started coming in from places they didn't expect. Small opportunities turned into bigger ones. The house felt lighter, happier. Even visitors noticed. "This house is different now," someone said. "That girl brought something," another added. Anna heard it. Once, twice, again. At first, she ignored it. But thoughts have a way of settling, and slowly, she began to believe it. This child came with favor, and for a while, everything was good. Until one day, everything changed. Anna became pregnant. The news came suddenly, unexpected, unbelievable. She cried, not quiet tears, but the kind that come from deep relief. After 8 years, it finally happened. Her own child. The house filled with joy in a way it never had before. But joy can sometimes carry something else with it. Something subtle, something dangerous. Comparison, slowly, without anyone announcing it. Blessing's place in that house began to shift. She was still there, still present, but something was different. She was no longer called immediately when food was ready. No longer sat as close, no longer spoken to with the same softness. At first, it was easy to ignore. But changes don't need to be loud to be real. They just need to be consistent. Then the baby came, a baby boy. They named him Miracle. Small, fragile, and loved. And in that moment, Blessing disappeared. Not physically, but emotionally. She became a background, then a responsibility. Then she became a burden. And this was where everything began to go wrong. Her mornings changed first. She began waking up before everyone else, before the sun, before the birds. While the air was still cold, she would be outside, sweeping or inside scrubbing floors, on her knees, back bent, Hands moving quickly. The same hands that once held toys now held dirty cloth. Even though there was running water in the house, she was sent to fetch it. Heavy buckets, small arms. Her fingers began to change. Red, wrinkled, and sometimes cracked. But the work didn't stop. Rather, it increased. She was constantly forced to wash clothes. Not just small clothes, adult clothes, heavy wrappers, jeans, and even bed sheets washed by hand. "Don't wash my clothes in the washing machine," Anna would always say. And if she slowed down, "You're lazy," Anna would shout. The slap would come quickly, sharp, and unexpected. The kind that leaves more than pain. It leaves fear. Food became something else entirely. Not nourishment, but control. She would cook, stand near the pot, breathing in the aroma, her stomach tight. Then, "You are not eating today." Sometimes because of a mistake. Sometimes for no reason at all. She learned to drink water, just to silence the hunger. She learned to lie down and pretend she wasn't hungry, to ignore the way her body felt. At school, it was worse. She would sit quietly, trying to focus. But hunger doesn't let you focus. Other children would laugh. "Why do you always look tired? Why is your uniform like that?" She stopped answering. Her teacher noticed the way she winced when she sat, the way she avoided eye contact, the way she flinched at sudden sounds. But Blessing said nothing, because fear is a powerful teacher. At home, the punishments became unpredictable. A broken plate, a crying baby, a stain on cloth. Anything could trigger it. Anna would hit her with slippers, with hands, with whatever was close. Not once, not twice, but again and again, repeatedly. And always the warning: if you tell your father, you will regret it. So when Eric came home, Blessing smiled. She greeted him warmly. And when he asks of her she is doing, "I'm fine," she lied perfectly. Because children like her learn quickly how to survive. Some days, she was made to stand outside under the hot sun for hours. No water, no shade. If you move, you'll see. And she didn't move, even when her legs shook, even when her head spun, even when tears rolled down her face. She stood, because she had learned something very important. Enduring pain was safer than resisting it. But pain always leaves traces, bruises, silence, fear in the eyes. And people began to notice. Neighbors watched. From windows, from across the compound, they whispered, "That child is suffering. I've been saying it. She's not okay." And one day, when one of the neighbors couldn't behold it any longer, she spoke. The knock on the door came in the afternoon, firm and calm. It was child welfare officials. Anna opened it, and everything changed. Questions were asked. Eyes observed. Truth revealed itself. Blessing stood quietly, holding a small bag. No tears, no resistance, just stillness. And when they said they were taking her away, Anna didn't hesitate. "Take her. I have my own child now," she said. Those were the last words Blessing heard before leaving that house forever. And then everything changed. The blessing stopped, money dried up, opportunities disappeared, the peace vanished. The same house, but heavier and colder. 3 years later, Miracle fell sick. At first, it seemed small. Then, it grew. Hospital visits, test upon test, confusion. They even tried traditional methods, but nothing worked. And one night, just like that, he was gone. Silence returned. But this time, it was worse than before. Anna tried and tried again to have another child. Nothing happened. She turned to adoption, but her name was already known. Rejected and blacklisted everywhere. Eric grew weak, sick, unable to walk, unable to help, and the community, they remembered. So when she begged, "Please, let a child come and stay with me," no one agreed. No one trusted her. No one came. The house became silent again. More silent than before. But this time, there was no hope. Only regret. Because she once had a child who brought light into her life. But she chose to become the darkness. And in the end, life made sure she truly had nothing. Because she once had a child who brought light into her life. A child who endured everything and still stayed, but she chose to become the darkness. Life didn't shout. Life didn't argue. It simply took everything back until all that was left was a woman alone in a quiet house with nothing but memories and the painful understanding that sometimes the greatest loss in life is not what is taken from you, but what you pushed away with your own hands. If this story touched you or made you think, then you already understand why stories like this need to be told. Subscribe for more stories that stay with you.